I've got my video goggles on as well, and I'm completely biased towards video because it is the most impactful content on social media. Full stop. End of.
Key question for you. What do you think is missing in marketing today?
What's missing in marketing today is emotion, authenticity, and consistency.
If you were going to talk to Chris 10 years ago and you were going to give advice, what advice would you give him?
The more that you are unashamedly you on social media, the more impact you will have in terms of reach, in terms of engagement, in terms of sales, everything.
Hello, my friends. I hope you're well. I hope you had a good day, video night, wherever you are. Today, we're back with a brand new What's Missing in Marketing Today episode. Today, I'm going to be talking to Chris. I imagine all things about social media and all of those wonderful places to put our content. But first, Chris, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for the time, and thank you so much for coming on, of course. But key question for you: what do you think is missing in marketing today?
Thanks for the invite. Really appreciate you hosting me today. What's missing in marketing today is emotion, particularly emotion, authenticity, oomph, and consistency.
When you say oomph, what do you mean? Because I think sometimes some people will take that as energy, right? Some people will take that as how we show up. Other people will take that as, I guess, like the amount or volume or energy. Like, that's why, if you don't mind just unpacking that briefly, I think it'd be really helpful for the viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all, Carlton. I think by oomph, I do mean energy. I mean true commitment to the cause. I think for far too long on social, people have seen it as a tick box and not this kind of ongoing personal or business brand commitment. And if you are truly giving it your full oomph, your full energy, your full commitment, you will get so much more out of it. I'm so aware of the fact that might be perceived as fluffy, but I think, in fact, I don't think I know that people can see right through cold, corporate, boring, emotionless content. And so it's so important, and it's critical actually now that the content that you're sharing, you give it your all, you give it your full oomph. So that's what I mean.
Magic. I mean, you're very seasoned. You know, you've been on social media for over a decade, starting out as a side hustle, creating your own agency. What was the turning point that you thought, actually, hold on, this could actually legitimately be the career of my dreams, so to speak?
I became addicted. I became obsessed with the platforms, the algorithm, the opportunity, particularly because really with social media, you can honestly go anywhere and get into any audience and reach any person anywhere. Like how incredibly remarkable is that? And I think when I first started on social, I was gaining traction really quickly, and I was connecting with people in places that I could never dream of. And of course, most people that tune into this podcast will understand the 6 degrees of separation, right? And I think that process is sped up so much more because of the power of social. And so I am just obsessed by it, and I'm excited by it. And I just truly believe that anyone can create impact for themselves or their business through organic social media. And the opportunity of that is bigger and better than any opportunity in the history of the internet, in my humble opinion.
Do you think people don't do it because they're worried about what if someone sees me? What if Gary, Sally, my mum, my friends from high school, etc., etc.? Like, is that why people don't do it?
Definitely, Carlton. I think a huge amount of work needs to be done in terms of self-discovery and your why and your own self-psychology and having a coach. So many people come to me, Carlton, they say, yes, Chris, let's do social media. Let's get going. I want to do this. I want to go there. I want to achieve this. I want to achieve that for myself or my business. And on paper, that sounds amazing. But often comes the stumbling block of getting themselves out there, seeing themselves on camera, being okay with how they sound, understanding how to, have some confidence in your conviction, being okay with people judging you. And that's something that is really, really tough for so many people. And I actually think is a great place to start this conversation with Carlton, because before you get into all of the technical, geeky social media strategy, tech platform, algorithm stuff, content creation, how are you showing up? How confident in your conviction are you? Are you okay with people judging you? Are you not okay with people judging you? Are you way too tuned into the vanity metrics? Oh, this post only got 2 likes, therefore I'm never going to do it ever again. So there's a lot of mental work that has to go into it, Carlton. And also, again, that's not a tick box. It's not a one and done. It's a continuous thing. And the unsexy truth about social, and certainly becoming successful on social media, whether that be for your business or your personal brand, you are going to get people that criticize you. You are going to get people that disagree with you. You are going to get people that leave you snidey comments. But with that growth comes huge opportunity, both financial and just general impact in whichever way you perceive that to be for yourself or your business.
No, I mean, I completely agree. And I mean, I think, but I'm also aware when saying that, though, that we come from a place of privilege because of the years we've been doing it for. If someone's listening to this and they're maybe concerned about, okay, I've got my first hate comment, what do I do?
First of all, pause. I think so many people just jump into it, Carlton. They'll get a bad comment and they'll react emotionally immediately. Hold the line, folks. Calm down, breathe. First step. Second step is linked to that is make sure it's okay to just sleep on it. If someone leaves you a comment like that, just sleep on it, come back to it the next day. Okay, this is all quite starter pack stuff. But where I think people then make the mistake is when they go back to that comment, they will react perhaps in a passive aggressive way, but perhaps they will hard disagree with that person. But the thing that's always worked for me, both personally and professionally, given what I do in the media world as well, is that I always respond with empathy, with kindness. And I understand that the reason why that person is leaving a comment on your business page, on your personal page, they're going through some stuff right now. Okay. So coming at it from a genuine place of empathy and killing them with kindness. And from a business side of things, it's an opportunity for you to show off your exceptional customer service skills by going back to that angry, frustrated customer or someone within your network or your audience with genuine kindness and empathy and care. And it can only help your brand, and understanding that actually, if you respond to that comment, it's going to help your post perform better and stay in the feed for longer anyway, right? So there's a whole lot of stuff on that, and I could go deeper into that, Carlton, but that's what I'd say to begin with is sleep on it. Kill that person with kindness, right? And don't make any harsh, strong statements and react emotionally. Just create some space, have some digital downtime.
I also I completely agree, but just to add to that for those who are listening, I think for me it's about like whether you're willing to give that power back to them. I forget the initial quote, but it was something along the lines of, when someone drops a comment on your post, on your video, wherever it is, if you respond to them, you're giving that power back. So if you can see it as kind of a power exchange, when they comment, they're giving you that power to see how you react to it, etc. And if sometimes you don't need to comment back. Sometimes you don't need to necessarily engage in that conversation if you don't feel it will necessarily be, I guess, mutually beneficial for the conversation, or like you're not. Like, there's a balance, I think, between building community and building real relationships with people, and then also having people who are just there to maybe stoke the fire, maybe get a little bit controversial, etc. They're there for maybe rage bait, right? But you've had a lot of experience with, managing other accounts and working with other accounts, etc. And, in my notes here, I've got, you've managed over 250 accounts, which is across multiple industries, which is a big, big thing to say, right? Is there like a specific lesson or a specific like thing that you've noticed in that process that's like, this really works? Or is it very specifically industry based? Is it very specific timing based, would you say?
In terms of content, in terms of responding to criticism, what do you
mean? In terms of, I guess the question comes is like, what because then it's like, maybe someone's listening to this and go, well, why is everyone on social media, right? Like, we want it to work for our business, okay? But some people have said to me, you need a niche, right? You need to niche down and do just content about X, okay? But at the moment, and this is a video I have up and coming, I'm going to talk about a hub strategy very quickly. You have a core Instagram, same is true in every platform, but core YouTube channel, core Instagram that you put your flagship content onto. Then you have spear or supporting accounts. So I have one for this podcast, I have one for my aerial work, etc. And they all then get invited as collaborators whenever there's a main post principle. But for me, like, you can niche, but because we're an interest-based graph now rather than social-based graph, in 95% of the case, I think LinkedIn's the only exception. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd be interested in your thoughts on it. But like, for me, in most cases, we're interest-based, especially on short-form, infinitely scrolling feeds. In that respect, actually, followers become irrelevant. So actually spinning up these other brands, spinning up these other accounts, you could actually get some decent numbers. And even if it's just awareness traction to push to your main account, where you can then have more value-led content or, quote, conversion content, etc. And that's quite techie. But I think for me, that's like the key, I think, to understanding what content, like what this piece of content, what a piece of content serves. So I guess to like reframe it into a question, in your experience across all of those accounts and across all of your industry, do you find there is commonalities when it comes to strategic content pillars?
The unsexy answer and the truthful answer, and I would be waving a big red flag if someone said that there would be something that works for all 250 plus accounts, right? I think that's a little bit disingenuous. In fact, it's massively disingenuous. And the reason why, Carlton, is on social media, there are thousands of variables, thousands. And we're talking like the algorithm, we're talking about the type of content, the headline used, the question, the value, the audience, the timing, the media. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, right? And so I think what I always like to do with our clients is, to begin with, you have to understand who you're talking to, the audience, right? There's no point getting going and serving up content that's not going to convert because you don't understand who your audience are, right? So that's the first step. Who are your audience? Who are your people? And then the second thing, and maybe the thing that could apply to the majority of those, is having this kind of mindset and oversight and umbrella, if you like, of serving and not selling. I think that's really important. Of course, there's times in content where you would add in a call to action or, send someone somewhere to do something. We have to do that to make money, right? But having that mindset of serving, not selling, across a board of whether it's a business account, a personal account, small, medium, large organizations, that's something that I would say works for the majority of those accounts. Of course, execution of perfection, consistently turning up, not getting bogged down in this kind of perfectionism mindset. I think people have this misconception with social, Carlton, that the perfect social media post exists. And I'm holding my head because it happens all the time. And someone's like, oh, well, that wasn't that good, or that didn't work.
Yeah, but my feed looks beautiful, Chris.
And we're now away from that, right? And I think, and I'm so happy, Carlton, that you have the understanding around, interest-based content and followers being almost not applicable now. Like, they look good, they make you look more credible, but ultimately, if you are leaving a consistent digital footprint, I'll call it, across a variety of platforms where your audience are hanging out, using keywords within your copy that people can hang on to and find you via, that is where the impact comes with social. I think across the board, some other things in terms of actual, you've mentioned, I think they're content pillars, Carlton. I always like to add in storytelling, tell a story, because people can connect with that. Brands don't do that enough. Make sure that at some stage you are telling someone to do something. If not, they will not do anything. Okay. So that's important to add in. Social proof is always good. So adding in, again, like what's worked, why has it worked, someone else talking about how good you are rather than you. I call it weeing everywhere, which is quite cruel. We do this. We're the best of that. We are number one. Weeing everywhere. People are weeing everywhere all the time. Stop weeing everywhere, okay? And make it more your, and really address the reader. So that was quite rambly, Carlton, but I hope that answers that question. It's quite hard to give you a specific answer, but hopefully that.
No, absolutely, it definitely does. I mean, I'm going to be quite biased, right? Because I've done video for like coming on 15 years and commercially for like 8 and 9, but I have noticed a trend across like either people wanting to do it or the platforms wanting you to create video, right? And I think, is that just the natural, like, it's the closest thing we have to me meeting you, me watching a video with you, building that parasocial relationship? Or from your perspective, I mean, is there like other reasons or other things why someone should consider video as a format, and or why they maybe shouldn't?
Yeah, I think, I've got my video goggles on as well, Carlton. I'm completely biased towards video because it is the most impactful content on social media. Full stop. End of. We could finish this podcast on that note, right? If there's one thing that people do today, film a video, even if it's a selfie shot, iPhone style, that's fine. Do that over a static. You'll see more engagement, reach more people, have more impact. I come from a commercial sales background. Really, I've always done social, but I that's kind of like where I've really made a dent. And when you show up on camera, Carlton, it is so good for demonstrating expertise. It accelerates relevancy, relatability, trust, because it feels real. And in this AI bot, cold corporate fake world that we seem to be drifting into, it is more important and more impactful than ever before to jump on video. So this isn't just me saying do video because it gets you more engagement, it helps you reach more people. It's, well, actually, even if you only had a LinkedIn network of 4 people and you showed up on video, it would definitely be more impactful than just normal static stuff, right? Because of a sales piece versus an algorithm piece, if you like. So for sure, I'm a huge advocate of video of all shapes and sizes. I think there's a place for long form, definitely. I certainly think there's a place for short form. I think overall, though, Carlton, people are hugely overthinking it. They're getting bogged down in the tech, and they're not, working with someone like yourself in terms of the tech setup, so they can just get going and talk about the stuff that they're good at and that they know about. And I just want people to get into this mindset of execution over perfection and, relatability, being real, even if you're walking down the street. And I know it's brave and it makes you look a bit silly, but even if you're walking down the street and you're just sharing a few words about your day with your camera and you're posting that as your content, that's a good enough start. It really.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree. And, very quick story. I've been a professional videographer for, as I say, like nearly 10 years. I do a couple of phone videos every now and again, and I'm almost willing to bet, I haven't checked yesterday's one, but nearly every single phone video, I think, it's really bad for me to say, but I think it over indexes in respect to views for, like, on Instagram especially, but even on LinkedIn and other places as well. Like, I've noticed there is a algorithmic boost for phone content if it's executed well, right? Granted, right? And in the one that I'm specifically thinking about, I did tell a very cohesive story. I did give a very specific setup and then a very good resolution, but that was because I'm in the process of creating good content consistently and doing those reps. So whether I'm filming it on a camera, and the reason why I mention it here is because I think some people, they look at like what I'm doing with like the trailers and it looks good and it sounds good and I've got professional mics all the time and then I'm flying a drone and they're doing all this stuff, but it's like, I don't have that, so I can't do it, right? I don't have the microphone. But you do have a phone, right? And I think if you just, it's more of a psychology thing. That's why I love to talk about the psychology behind video, because for me, it's the main barrier for someone not wanting to or not being willing to put themselves out there, because actually you find about some insecurities, and it's actually a really strong self-belief and self-esteem and self-growth perspective yourself doing video, which is a kind of a byproduct of actually all the business benefits that we've already kind of alluded to. But I think for me, I mean, if you were going to, and I know when I come on your show, I went into depth on like the psychology, but from your perspective with your experience, I mean, what, outside of doing it, what would you say to someone who's like either maybe looking to start doing their first post, tipping their toe in, or they maybe want to start on video? Like, what would you say to those people?
Talk about something that you're genuinely passionate about. Don't overscript. Don't write everything down. Be okay with buts, and maybes. You will stumble. You will stutter. You will. There will be a moment where you accidentally say something you shouldn't, and keep it in. keep it in because it's real and people want real. Again, back to my previous point, AI, robot, cold corporate world that we're drifting into. People are craving real more than ever before. And this is why influencers do incredibly well, because it's so real. It's so genuinely authentic most of the time. And so I think if I was to say to someone to start out, like of course, press record in your office, whether it be, in the workplace or at home or whatever, and just keep the camera on and record your day and maybe record some of your meetings from an alternative angle and see if there's a snippet from that you can take out. Maybe you're not looking at the camera. That's okay. Because doing something is better than nothing. And I'm like so far on the other side of the fence with this. Like some marketers are like, oh no, it's got to be absolute quality, da, 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 da. But the problem with that is it's too slow. It's a lack of speed. And just like a balanced diet, Carlton, like I'm a big advocate of doing professional stuff as we are right now. But then also for speed, if you are walking down the street, if you are, out and about somewhere, if you've just walked out of a networking event, whatever, and you've got that moment, that spark, that energy, that inspiration to get on camera, don't wait, get going. I just think so many people are overthinking it, Carlton, which is quite basic starter pack advice, but they absolutely are. I'll tell you a quick story on this. One of my consultancy clients, I was going through this process with her. We were running through various static. We'd established our top line strategy. We had images, we had graphics, we had design, we had some polished video. And I was saying, hey, look, Cassandra, I think we should really shift more towards this kind of real, relatable portrait, selfie shot style content. And she sent me a couple of videos. One was her at home, and one was her at the beach. And the one of her at the beach, you could barely hear her, to be honest with you. Like you could hear what she was saying, obviously, but it was quite hard to hear. However, when she shared that one, you use that word over-indexed, it was so real. The wind was in the background. You could hear the waves. And most people, they wouldn't have used it. They would have gone, it's too difficult to hear me. I won't share that. Whereas actually I would say, if there's a car in the background beeping, if there's an animal, if there's a bird tweeting, if someone walks in, it's like the classic BBC reader where the kid walks in, right? Like use that, I just think so many people are overthinking everything, maybe it's a wider societal, deeper issue, right? Around our own self-image. I think it's getting worse because of social. That's maybe like the dark side of it, but if you can just be okay with who you are and unashamedly sharing who you are with the world, then you will reach so many more people and be able to spread your message and create more impact.
Something that I understood a handful of years ago when I did a video talking about marketing funnels was actually the job of a marketing funnel is to basically repel or exclude a certain sector of people, right? The wrong certain people. Because I think when we look at marketing, we go, I'm trying to attract the right people, right? But we don't always look at the other side of it, which is that repulsion side. But something which I've found really interesting as I've grown and I've developed is like I'm talking to more business owners who are getting busier and busier with the operations of a business and et cetera, et cetera. And that's probably one of the reasons why they, to be honest, they bring me in, because they want the professional content, they want the feel, they want the sound, but they don't want to have to worry about what lens are we shooting on, what light are we using, what microphone are we, so on, right? But for some business owners who say they don't have time for social media, they don't have time for content creation, what would you say to them?
I would say, like anything, it's whether you truly want to commit to it or not. I would say that it's more attainable than ever before to work with a genuine specialist that isn't going to charge you, through the roof like a large generalist agency that doesn't specialize in. And you, as long as you go through an appropriate in-depth onboarding consultancy strategy agreement process, if you like, and you're able to define exactly what you want to achieve, where you want to go, how you want to do it, your tone of voice, then you could outsource it. But I also truly believe, Carlton, with the tools and technology that are at our disposal today, I've got a lot of concerns around AI, right? But then also, I am an advocate of using AI in terms of ideation, in terms of building out content pillars, headlines. There's so many things that we can get from it. So it's easier than ever before to get consistent on social, whether you do it yourself through tools, through techniques, learn techniques, or you outsource it. You don't. I think there is this kind of there's this real thought with most people that it's like this huge unattainable expense to work with a specialist on your social now, but that's certainly not the case in my humble opinion anyway. So again, not maybe a one and done answer there, but an honest answer, which is that you can absolutely commit to it, whether it's yourself or whether it's through a.
I think for me, my answer would be like leverage, right? Like, it's what are you leveraging? How are you leveraging your time, assets, resources, etc.? Like, you could, using like what I did for a long time, hire someone to follow you around with a video camera and document rather than create in a Gary Vaynerchuk style, and or actually, like as you've already mentioned to it earlier, record what you're saying in a meeting. And this does one of two things. A, it gives you infinite content opportunities, especially if you're going to use things like ops clips to do the editing for you, because you're only doing it for short form. But also, it actually means you're going to show up better for that person in the meeting, because you're not going to spend time talking about how's the weather, how is the dog, etc. You're going to go, okay, how tangibly can I add value to you, right? How can I tangibly add value in that hour? Because A, you're creating content from it, so you want to add kind of generalized information, and you want to create the most valuable content you can. But also, I've found personally, people take more value from the meeting because you are kind of in that performance mode, I guess you could say, right? But this does kind of link in, I guess, and it'd be wrong of me not to ask you around, you've been very fortunate to speak on stages, you've been fortunate to, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but like run your own radio show on the BBC and co-host it and etc. I mean, like, for people who are maybe listening to this and that's maybe like an avenue of their business, so maybe they have a speaking opportunity or they have been invited on the radio, but they're not sure, well, like, what's it going to do for my business, and like, why should I? And like, do you see that as important for you personally?
Brought that up, Carlton, because it links with your response to my last answer, right? Which is that if you're going to do public speaking, or you have a media appearance, or you're guest writing, or you're doing something like what we're doing now, okay, the reason why I'm committing to this is, of course, not just to share my expertise and my experience and help serve, not sell, really just help people reach new audiences. It's getting content as well. And you've mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk, huge advocate, very grateful to have met him a couple of times now, a really real massive inspiration for me. And one of the things that he talks about is content pyramids. And many people just, and it again links back to your having the time bit, Carlton, they don't realize that us doing this, what is it now, half an hour, 45 minutes, we'll do maybe an hour today together. This will give me content for weeks. I could pull out of it a long form video. I could pull out of it multiple blogs. I could pull out of it, I mean, with your help, especially Carlton, so many short form video snippets, right? That I could run evergreen on my personal or business account for maybe the rest of this year, for goodness sake, right? And it's a massive frustration of mine, actually, Carlton, as well, because when people get these opportunities, public speaking, media, podcast, etc., they don't maximize the opportunity and they don't use it to their advantage. So they do it, they reshare it, and that's it. And it just kind of dies or fizzles out. And they don't realize that actually, by doing this today, I'm getting loads of content that I can use over and over and over again. And that is an incredibly useful trick that so many business people are well, not just business people, all people are missing out on the opportunity from. And of course, by me doing this appearance with you, it's going to highlight me as the expert, the person of expertise. Whereas if I'm doing this on my channel and it's just me, and it's on, here you go, me, we, all of this again, people don't quite believe it. But the fact that I'm doing this on your show can actually create so much more trust, so much more respect, and really build you as the key person of influence. I think a book that I'd highly recommend to, and I'm sure loads of your community already know it, Carlton, but Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley is a brilliant book to read, to really understand and simplify personal brand. And it gets you in this thought process and concept and strategy of, using these opportunities to build you as a key person of influence so people trust you more. And if they trust you more, they buy more of your products and services. It's a simple mathematical equation, if you like. And so again, that's why I would hugely recommend that when you do these appearances, you really, really milk them for as much as you possibly can.
And also, I think, sometimes people see like filming a talk at the front of a room or filming a podcast as like just a cost. And until you break that framework down and you look at the visibility that you're potentially going to get, and I think at the moment we relaunched the podcast account, I think it's now like 24 or 22,000 or so within like 2 weeks or so, just under 2 weeks in regards to like monthly views. Now, yes, we're using a strategy which involves a level of volume to create that, right? Each reel is maybe only getting 300 or so views at the time of filming, sure, but the point is, how many people, even if we take 1%, okay, that's close to 2,000 people that potentially could convert in my business within the next 3 months, right? And that's just on Instagram alone. You then add the potential revenue opportunities that come from having a monetized YouTube channel and etc., and like building side revenue, especially if you're in what I would call a up down business, so like you're very project by project based. You could build yourself an opportunity, and I'm personally doing this with the brands I'm building and in the content I'm creating, where you could have infinite marketing content because you're going to put it out on all your social media, linking out to your YouTube, etc. But also, if you strategically think about it enough, and you can build a strong niche for that YouTube clarity, which is what YouTube specifically cares about in all the research, all the people I've spoken to right now, and that's why I have a different channel for the podcast rather than Brightner Media, etc., is because algorithmically YouTube wants to have clarity over who to serve those videos to, right? But the key there is once it gets to the point where the YouTube channels are big enough, they will become their own revenue stream. And it might be £100 a month or etc. Sure. But that what does that do to your business? That changes your baseline revenue. So if you are project by project based, that means you can potentially pay for another SD card, or you can pay for another microphone, or you can pay for a bit of lighting, or you can pay for a bit of consulting, etc. Or just hold on to the £100, right? And it's about, I think for me, how you think about that from a longer term. But do you think people sometimes underestimate like the other opportunities that could come from like either that or the lurkers that could come on social media from creating content, Chris, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, though, something that you've brought up there, which is a huge gap for the majority of people. Unbelievably, they are not using and making the most of the second biggest search engine in the world, which is YouTube. And YouTube Shorts right now are so hot. They are absolutely flying. They are getting so much organic reach. And so even if you were to set up your own personal YouTube account under your name, right? And you just share all of these little videos that you do from various appearances, public speaking gigs, talks, meetings, whatever, wherever, however, getting your name on YouTube and giving these AI tools, hey, by the way, something to grab onto because then you're the expert. Boom. And that is a massive gap for so many people. So again, link back to your previous question, Carlton, we're doing this in a funny order today. That will hugely help people. So definitely jump on YouTube and really, really capitalize on that opportunity by using that video content. And the great thing is with YouTube is by tweaking, tailoring, optimizing, making something, amending something, is that it can go viral like that. Okay. So with LinkedIn, with Facebook, with Instagram, if you edit something, if you edit a social post, it will penalize you, right? YouTube is phenomenal because by simply adding a new thumbnail, changing the headline, adding more to the description, all of a sudden your video can blow up and it could completely change your business forever. And that's not pie in the sky, blue sky thinking stuff, right? That's very real and it's happening for so many people. And so again, another takeaway for people listening to this is please jump on YouTube. Please start publishing to YouTube.
Yeah. And I mean, we've talked a lot about like the commercial benefit of doing content, the commercial benefit of like why I should be looking at marketing, how I should be consistently marketing. But you've done some incredible work through your Big C initiative about, specifically raising I believe this is correct, do correct me if it's wrong, raising up to about £40,000 for the charity involvements and etc. I mean, how specifically is that kind of, I guess, purposely shaped your work, or like how did that kind of come about? Like, because I think that's really rare in the business landscape, but also in the social media landscape as a whole. I don't think we sometimes think, hey, I could actually do something really good and really meaningful here.
Love that, Carlton. And we're talking here about business and doing all this, but hey, actually, what charities are you passionate about? What do you want to change in society? What legacy do you want to leave? You can use social as a tool to support with that. I'm so proud to say that we've now got up to over 50,000. I think we're almost knocking on the door of 51,000, right? For a cancer charity that supported my mum before she sadly passed away in 2007. And my mission is I want to get to 100 grand before I retire, right? And I will get there. But the takeaway and the learning from that is all of that money was raised because of the power of social media, specifically the power of building a engaged community. And we jumped on YouTube lives. We were talking to our subscribers. We did a 24-hour watch along, which was phenomenal. And we raised, I think it was like annoyingly, it wasn't 24,000. It was 23,000 in 24 hours. And that was on YouTube, one platform. So again, like, if it's not enough to already jump on social media for your business, what about the stuff that you're passionate about? What about the charities that you want to help and support? It's definitely the right thing to do.
Do you think AI is going to change this?
Yeah, I do. I think AI has already changed a lot of social media. And I think that it's one of those things that you can either lean into, you can sink or swim. And I think that many people are already swimming with it, but then also some people are unintentionally sinking because they're using AI. They are they're really rubbish with their prompts, Carlton, and they're just kind of spewing up stuff and throwing it out there. And the algorithm is understanding and picking up, that's AI content. And there's certain things that you see and you're like, you've swallowed a thesaurus overnight. You're using the rocket emoji on every single post. You're using multiple line breaks in weird orders. It doesn't feel like you anymore. So I think AI has changed it, but not just for the good, but for the worse as well. And honestly, not even just saying this because I'm on your podcast. It's why video. I didn't think video could be any more I didn't think it could be any more valuable. AI coming in has made video work even more valuable for you and your business. Because of course, AI tools are developing all the time, right? And it's going to get scary really quickly at what it can do, even in video. But right now, there's this opportunity where doing video as you, for real, there's going to be this nice soft squidgy stage where you can get so much impact now before these tools and technologies catches up with it and are able to dupe you to a quality where you can't tell the difference. I don't think that's going to be long, by the way, and I'm quite scared by that, to be honest. For the world, not for me or my business, everyone. But for the next year and a half, 2 years, I think there's a real moment where you can jump on video, make loads of money, create loads of impact, help support causes that you care about. I think AI has made things really good in terms of getting people going, ideation. But I actually also think it's really showing people up, and it's making jumping on video even better for showing off your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, your skills, because that's something that AI can't do.
Yeah. How shouldn't we be using AI?
How shouldn't we be using it? Putting it. I'm not going to try not to swear, just in case you're monetizing this. By putting a rubbish prompt into ChatGPT, copying and pasting any old nonsense, right? If you put rubbish in to ChatGPT, you will get rubbish out of it. And people aren't even proofing, Carlton. It's so scary how lazy humans are. It's so scary. They're literally putting a rubbish prompt in, getting a rubbish answer response out of it, copying it, whacking it in LinkedIn and sending it,
Yeah, that'll do.
fact checking it. And some of the stuff I've seen, it's like the worst thing to do for your personal brand. It can literally destroy your personal brand in an instant because the facts are wrong, the stats are wrong, they're not right. And it's because partly of the prompt, but also what AI is currently still latching onto. So as I say, I'm not an AI denier by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that's where people are getting it massively wrong. They are not understanding how it works, and they are shortcutting it. They're thinking it's accurate, and it's not. It's actually, you spoke earlier, Carlton, about, video / social attracting or detracting for your personal or business brand. And my goodness gracious me, is it detracting from some people's businesses right now?
Algorithms change constantly, right? There's constantly a new thing, there's a new trend, there's a new, like, Reels have just launched, Stories have just launched, Snap Spotlight has just launched, etc., right? Like, it's a full-time job on its own, right? That I'm sure we both spend quite a lot of our time because of the nature of our business. But to the person who's maybe not in the space every day, what advice could you give them as we go into 2026 and say, okay, well, this format, this trend, this idea, this concept, this thing is underrepresented and is the quote opportunity right now on social?
Well, I think what's always going to be safe, is educational content, serving, not selling. Especially when the content that you're creating is non-time sensitive. That consistency is going to be more impactful and work over and above trends. I'm really cautious with trends. Trends are fantastic at creating virality and going big, getting loads of vanity metrics. I'm not sure jumping on trends is something that a business should be leaning into too much, because actually I think it detracts away almost from your commercial objectives. Heck, I saw a competitor the other day post something on their social, which was so detracting away from what good customer service, client service looks like. And I was like, oh dear. And it's because they jumped on a trend that, like, other people are doing, but you don't have to jump on every trend. So I think video works. I think doing lives works and will work very, very well. If someone is able to do content where they are getting connected, exposed, and accelerated into another network of people that they want to reach, is also good. So Instagram collaborations, live broadcasts like this, very, very good thing to do. But Carlton, I do fear that question will almost strike fear into people, and they will go, oh no, I'm overthinking it again. I can't do the right thing. So again, I just want to go back to basics: execution of perfection, give value. I'm creating now, as we speak, 52 videos, and I'm going to do one per week for the rest of next year. Like, I'm practicing what I preach on that. And I'm not worried about the trend at the time, because I want to leave a digital footprint. I want to leave little magnets, branches for my audience to hang on to with keywords of service areas that I want to sell more of. That's what I'm all about, right? Leaving this footprint that people can grab onto. So trends are great. You don't have to jump on all trends. And in terms of like what's safe for 2026 and what is going to work still in 2026 is short form video content. Make it real, make it authentic, whether you do it professionally with someone as good as yourself, Carlton, or whether you selfie shoot it. But again, balanced diet point. Do both. Why not do both? Yeah. Work with you, Carlton, or another video provider. Won't be as good, obviously, to batch create loads of video content, evergreen, non-time sensitive. So you're talking at least once per week, and build it and build it and build it. And that's how you can grow your account.
No, I completely agree. And I want to build off just before we wrap up the trend thing, because I agree, but I also kind of disagree. And it's kind of a bandwidth question, right? So I'm going to caveat my answer with, if you have the bandwidth to do this and you have the systems in process to be creating all the polished stuff, all the value add, everything that me and Chris have been discussing for the last hour or so, then yes, do that first. That's always going to serve you. That's always going to be a good idea. However, if you want explosive growth from an awareness point of view, and you have the bandwidth to jump on a trend fast before it becomes saturated, then you can commoditize a load of attention that will then lead into your value-led content. And that's where it really comes down to, in my opinion, a yes and thing rather than a yes or thing, right? We've alluded to Gary a lot, and I will link some resources down below for those who are interested, but like, this is one of the things that Gary talks about a lot. It's like, yes and you should talk about your hobbies. Yes, and you should talk about, I think he had a video that got like silly views, like millions and millions, and it was like him talking about like a fruit, right? What ROI is that? Well, actually, probably quite high, because what happens is people, if you look at everything you do as a part of a marketing funnel, you need to ask what piece of your content is going to do. You can trend jack and get a strong piece of awareness content. No, it won't convert. No, it's not going to miraculously mean you get hundreds of millions of pounds in your bank because you've converted it. But what it will do is it could give you a boost in followers and or a boosted initial interaction. And if you have your leading to a book that's actually on Chris's bookcase behind him, where Gary talks about your profile hygiene, right? If you have your website, you have your email, you have your phone number easy accessible on those profiles, when you get something that gets 1 million, when you get something that gets 100k, there's going to be a percentage. Again, if you take 1%, you're going to be in a position where you're going to get some more work. You're going to get even 1 or 2 more people who potentially will become clients. So that's kind of my, I guess, counter argument to trend jack, and that's why I caveat it with the bandwidth thing. But Chris, for those people who, because I'm aware you've got to go very shortly, but for those people who want to connect with you, if you want to see more content, you want to see some of this video you've already alluded to, where's best for people to reach out to you? And do you agree with what, that strategy as a whole?
Well, I was going to say, I just looked at the time and I went, oh, that's a shame, because I've got so much more to give. And for people that have kind of liked the cut of my jib today, I'm serving up a ton of value over on my Reeve, REEVE social media, Reeve social media YouTube channel. I'm doing live broadcasts, one of which is with this guy. Incredible value in terms of video psychology, which is the most important thing before you get going. We'll leave that alone for now. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Chris Reeve. I'm showing up there really consistently and just providing free value for people to use and jump on. And yeah, just back to your previous point, to, I guess, sort of somewhat finish on, Carlton, in a funny old order again, is we could have done an hour-long Gary V loving, couldn't we, right? But this attention thing, right? And I think that's something else to tap into, is without attention, nothing else happens. And so I would just say, like, preach to your previous answer, Carlton, bang on the money. I'm saying yes, and I'm not saying only do proactive, non-time sensitive evergreen content. This is my tap, by the way, that I'm turning. But I'm also saying turn on the reactive tap, which is the trend tap, the reactive tap. Just don't do only one or the other. Do both, but it has to be attainable with you and your business, Carlton, which is where I think we're totally in the agreement of. I'm just so fearful that some trends that people are jumping on detract and they turn off your ideal customer profile rather than turn on. But I'm in total agreement with you. Do proactive, non-time sensitive, evergreen video content. Do trend content as well. And hey, in that book, Attention by Gary Vee, his latest one, it's full of geeky social video, psychology of social content that can work incredibly well for you and your business. Carlton, I just want to say thanks for your time today, but also I want to take the time to say, on behalf of your network and the audience and the community that you're building on your podcast, thank you, because this is really rare that someone is taking the time out of their day to genuinely share so much just purely because they're passionate and that they want to help. And I really wish that there were more experts in their field that committed the amount of time that you do to actually just helping people. So thank you, sir.
No, that's so kind of you. And thank you so much for the time. If you were going to talk to Chris 10 years ago, right, and you were going to give advice, what advice would you give him?
Be more you. You cannot be anyone else. Stop trying to be someone else online. Stop copying your competitors. Stop just doing what the other people in the industry are doing, because actually, if they go yin and you go yang, if they go black and you go white, that is really, really impactful. And the more that you are unashamedly you on social media, the more impact you will have in terms of reach, in terms of engagement, in terms of sales, everything. It all comes back to the more you that you are, the more impact you will have on social media.
Thank you so much for the time, Chris. And if you did enjoy this episode of What's Missing in Marketing Today, make sure to be subscribed and all that lovely YouTube stuff and etc. as well. But thank you so much for coming back and joining me. I'll see you very, very soon.